Welcome everyone to the 41st Cash Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And my name is Rick Crammond. I'll be the host today. And we'll be in touch with Mr. Kesh, as we always do, who is at the Spaceship Institute today in Italy. And today, as you can see on the screen, we have several running Starship reactor configurations happening at various points on the planet, and a few more than are seen on the screen are also running simultaneously, and this will be part of our presentation today. I think I'll allow Mr. Kesh to explain better what is happening with these configurations and how they're how we're interacting with them and so on. We have people such as Vince, but it's empty and ready to receive, you might say. So let me go to the screen here. Let's go to the screen fully. Okay, that should start coming through on the live stream. I'm sorry about that. And now you should be able to see the feeds. Well, we have 3 live feeds here. Vince in the lower left corner. We've got John Francois in the upper right hand corner, and the Spaceship Institute on the lower right hand corner. And we have a picture of Marcel's starship formation in the upper left, I believe. And was that Vitor's? I think that was it. I'm sorry, yes, that's Vitor's. Right. I have to get another bit of space on my screen for Marcel. Let me just get that up here. I think, pretty sure I... It sure is. Let me see. Yes, it's this video. Whoops, just disappeared on me. Just 1 second. There we go. Whoops. And I'll try to jam that in here somewhere, which is, that's Marcel's reactor combination up in the upper right, you see there. Okay, let's, we can switch over to Mr. Kesh, I believe, who can sort of introduce this topic and tell us more about what the heck is going on here. Mr. Kesh, are you there? Oh, just a minute, yeah, and my audio's not coming through. I gotta make a change here, apparently. Okay, I believe we're okay there now.
One of the most, well, good morning. Are we alive now?
Yes, looks good. Thank you.
Good morning, good day, and we wish you all the best that today can bring. What we try to do today is something which has been worked on and planned for past 2 or 3 days between different people around the Keshe Foundation around the world. What we try to do is that the work which started some 4 years ago, and now we start seeing the final phases of its completion. If you've been around the work of the foundation for past years, you know that we set up the first World Ambassador meetings for peace some 3 years ago in Belgium. A number of ambassadors attended the meeting, but pressure from the NATO and EU nations was that we boycott this peace meeting. Then, just about 6 months later, or less, we organized a second World Peace meeting with ambassadors. In this meeting, more ambassadors turned up, and the government of Italy decided to break rank from the NATO and EU, and they sent their representative to the meeting. And just in the afternoon, the day before the conference, we received a call from the American embassy to say that because they knew Italy has broken rank, that in this meeting of tomorrow we will not attend, but we surely be in the next one. In that meeting, we made clear in both meetings with the ambassadors of the world that what is to come, what is the change to come, and we gave a time lead to the governments to organize themselves. Then, to show how sincere we were with what we planned to do for world peace, we start giving what is known as a USB key with all the patterns and the knowledge to the governments, one at a time. Again, the government of Italy broke rank straight away, and they accepted the key which we gave to their ambassadors in Belgium. And as you know, again, on the 6th of November of 2012, the American government, through their ambassadors, on the day of the re-election of His Excellency President Obama, asked for the key. In handing over the key to the American officials, we made the first gesture, and actually the first move, to show the power of technology means peace. And we put the hand of peace on the table to the Americans for peace talk between Iran and the United States. And from that day, that's where we are today. As we know, yesterday the final phase has started. Then we went one step further, with Taiwanese government having the key and releasing it to their scientists. We knew we had the right to share with the rest of the world. So we allow the Taiwanese people who had the key, the knowledge and the information, in a pre-organized time to release the information on the internet. And since has been downloaded tens of millions of times. Then we took it one step further. In June of this year, we invited the world leaders, religious leaders, to start talking about peace. We went with a few of the Keshe Foundation supporters to Vatican, and we gave the message and the dossier to the office of the Pope. We attended, we were given time, and it was given to His Eminence the Pope. Same time, the same dossiers were sent to all the world religious leaders. The condition and the contract of peace treaty was handed to the Iranian government personally by myself, through my contacts which sits at the highest levels. Now, we came to the final phase. This is what I explained to the knowledge seekers in past 2-3 days as we were setting up to get ready for today. We informed the world leaders to come together to agree on peace. We informed the religious leaders. to come together to agree for peace. Not peace talks, but peace. Talking is over. Both camps, in a way, confirmed, yes, we wanted, we are interested, but there was too much money to lose. As one of the diplomats told me, there is not enough money in the world banks to pay for the patent rights of this technology. But at the same time, another one says it's the most disruptive technology we know. On the other hand, in 2009, 2010, our colleagues from the world leading nation, they said we cannot stand another economical recession because with this, everything has to change. And we have to change too many things, and with the recession at this moment going on in past 2-3 years, the world cannot stand it, we're going to collapse. I listened to all their comments and all their reasons, but now the whole situation has changed. If we leave it, they always find another excuse. So what we decided, we bring it to the world population through their leaders on both sides. The physical, which is the world leaders, and the spiritual through the souls, which is the religious leaders. And as both have shown resistance in implementing the change, so we bring the change through masses, through people. This is not a revolution. This is upgrading the soul of the man, that by bringing the will of the soul of the man to a higher level, the man realizes there is no need to kill. There is no need for war. I've been telling for weeks, I informed the Americans and the Russians and the Chinese and the officials in Iran and officials around the world who I constantly keep in touch with. We will enforce peace. And now we enforce peace. Through peaceful means and through change of mind. We have shown the power of this technology on the international scene 2-3 times in past 3 years. Now we do it the way it had to be done. Not to increase the awareness, but through the power that all the 12 people around the table who will be chosen to be there themselves, we are not sacrificing souls, we are elevating souls. The ones who became part of the 12 members of the seat, plus the 2 on top, your souls have been elevated, and you have enough to elevate the whole of the human race and beyond. It's a gift from us to you. But it has to be done the correct way. We try to raise the reactor number 1, which sits in SSI. Why we chose the SSI reactor? If you look at the number 4, which sits right in the front in SSI, is a sick reactor. It is not rotating correctly. This is the human body. And it's chosen today to be like this, because I knew this is come. The other 3 work perfectly, because that's how the universe works, we're perfect. And the human race is the sick one. Sick because of the greed, because of the wants, and sick because it has lost its track. In the past, the messengers of God did not deliver what they were supposed to. They all delivered half and not totality. Now is for the human race to receive the totality. And this sick child will be fixed. We'll see the stop. and we have to see how much we can put to change it. We've chosen two paths. The path, the first one which we start today, is to elevate the soul of the world leaders. And each member of the 12 on the table have chosen one world leader, that through them we reach the other world leaders, and through them to the people who elected them, which is the human race. What we try to do today is nothing but what we shown on Sunday. On Sunday, just as part of what is to happen from now on, we showed how we could bring the right-hand corner reactor to a halt on predetermined time and second, using systems in Germany, in Canada, and here in Italy, to show how much we can reach and how far we can reach. What you see as the physical structure of the 4 reactors rotating in these sets is the physicality of the man. These 4 reactors create a field, a spherical field, right beneath the top one, somewhere in the middle, which has no tangibility but exists because we have been measuring its power for past 2-3 months with a detector which sits just in the background. You see a white tag. It sits on that, the detector. What does this show? It shows the existence of untangible being, entity. And we have seen its power. In past 2-3 months, we've shown that he has created 129 Tesla, which uses less than a few watts of energy to produce it. Whereas most of you know, people in Las Almas in the United States use 1.4 gigawatt of energy to produce less than 100 watts. So the power of these systems is beyond man's imagination. And today we transfer this power from the physicality of the people around the world to the soul of the leaders of world leaders. The shift in the physical movement of the world leaders will not come because they want, will come through the wishes of mankind, which is operating through these wishes of the people around this table, which is supported by others around the world, through these invisible plasmas to the world leaders. I explain to you scientifically how. The brain of the man is made of carbon and oxygen. And the body of the man carries hydrogen as energy transfer. The physicality of the man uses neurosystem and copper to function. And in these reactors in the center, what you see from SSI, we carry all. The knowledge seekers over past few weeks and months, unknowingly, with a predestined intention from us, have brought this situation about. These reactors are loaded with CH3, CuO, and CO2, which is the main constituent of life in the universe. There is no nitrogen as part of the amino acid of the body of the man, because nitrogen is the fingerprint of humanity. Nitrogen is the source and extension of existence on this planet. So, with creating a plasma which is independent of this planet, we join the mankind to the unity of the universe, the way it works. So, when the 12 with the physicality give their soul through these plasmas, this will reach not only the human race, but beyond. Somebody on this platform calls me alien. We are, because our thoughts are, and we are peaceful. We fall in love with the human beings because of the love of their entity and physicality and their innocence. But we hate the deviousness you lot go through. To kill, to destroy. And when we take nitrogen out of the equation, man will forget about killing. Because nitrogen, in conjunction with what you call iron, creates the red blood cells, which in its survival of division leads to hunger to eat, to destroy. And that's why the two don't exist in this equation and in these systems. We fall in love with the human beings because through them we can test and see how easily physicality can be manipulated. Because through reproduction system on this planet, we create mothers, or the givers, the life givers. And our aim is to change the life givers. It's them who we have to change aggression in. The problem has been with the female part of this planet is that they've been subordinate. And with this setup, I'm putting Elia on the same level as me, we give you equality in every sense. It's hard for a lot of people to accept, especially in the third world nations and in Arab countries, that a woman is equal. Through this program, through these cells, through these systems, we bring woman equal in every level with a man. That there is no fight, there is no superiority, and no one is over another. This is something which a lot of you never understood. To have peace, it has to be equality, not just on race, color, and religion, but at home. And home is the planet Earth. And the Mother Earth, which is the mother which gives life, has to be equal to the man who initiates life. I have told this several times to Elia, but she has not managed to see there is no challenge, but love and care and equality. And today on this table, we have two women, two life givers. Because two of you are enough for 10 men. For us to respect you and to love you, not just as a reproduction, but as equal, that we can bring balance and peace. So what we try to do today is not just to pray for the world leaders, but to those who gave life to these world leaders, that the mothers of future understand that teaching has to be peace, and a peaceful way, that the children forget about war. All we need to do, let this reactor run, and in time, every time you see them, pray in a way that we do in universe. Give from your soul and not from your heart. Elevate the soul of the world leaders, not their physicality. Their physicality is weak and temptation is part of their life. Wanting and needing is easy to satisfy. Giving and being correct, this is the problem. Now, if the 12 people around the table which sit, that are present today or not, in the next week sincerely give through their soul to the soul of their reactors and not the physicality of rotation of the reactors, then by next week we should hear from the world leaders through their souls. This is millions of people around the world which we need to give. We have to give so much. One of you is enough to saturate the whole humanity on this planet. But then it'll be forced on. It has to be collective that we can achieve. And if we do not ask the question and just unconditionally give, then we come to one point. Next Thursday, as most of you know, is a Christmas day. We reach the soul of the prophets of God. And we pray for what they not deliver to bring man to this point at this time. We know some did not deliver what they were given because their physicality took over their soul. We forgive but not forget. And it's the job of you on the dimensions of the prophets you have chosen to allow the rest of the message which was given to them to be delivered to you, that you all understand one thing. Peace was the initial subject, but physicality took over. Because through physicality, they lost the seat as the prophet. I have tried very hard not to make the mistakes of the past. And I tell that a lot to Elia. And to her, she only looks at physicality. But she has to reach the soul as my level, then she understands. But in a way it's good because I tease her to see the weaknesses of the man. Then we can know where it sits. One of the reasons everything has gone wrong, especially in past 4,000 or 5,000 years, is because the messengers only delivered half as they saw increase in their physical levels power. We don't mention none because it's shame to do so. But they all know in their time they did not deliver the totality. Because once they received it, physicality gave them a status that totality did not matter. And we see the same thing going down through their followers. So, what we do through the soul of the man for the suffering what has happened this week till next week, we elevate the physical part of the being of the man, which is presidents and world leaders. And next week, through the soul of the man, for needing and demanding the truth and balance, through your souls, we elevate the soul of the prophets of the past. That humanity receives the totality, what was given to them. There is an old story in Iranian culture. The grandfather of present Prince of Iran, or the first Shah Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, was and saw a lot of discontent in the soldiers on the lower rank, that they don't have enough to eat. They are not receiving enough. and they are putting everything online for the nation. So, His Excellency got all the soldiers from the top rank in the army lined up in the yard in the military section. A big queue of them standing next to each other. In a very cold, snowy day, he made a huge snowball. And he gave the snow to the top officer. And he said, whenever you cannot hold it anymore, give it to the officer next to you and down the line. When he got down to the middle of, to the end of the row, because every officer was trying to show he's very brave and held a snowball so far it melted, there was no more left for the other officers. They start complaining, we haven't received it, it hasn't come. He said, this is what I did. I gave everything. By the time they took what they wanted, there is nothing left for you. This is exactly what has happened with the Prophet of the past. We gave everything, but as they saw fit to gain position, which a lot did, not much came to the bottom level to the mankind. And to hide what is not being given became the seat of hatred, war, and no peace. Because the bottom rank did not receive the snowball. And they wanted to at least feel the snow which was touched by the king. It's the same situation. Now what we are doing, we are collecting all those ice drops which was not
Mr. Kesh, we lost the last
passed
Oh, yep.
sentence.
go back to the snowball, that everybody carries the same snowball.
Mr. Cash?
Hello? We're having
The
some
intention
broadcast problems here.
not to create another war.
I don't think he can hear us.
Hello, Mr. Kesh?
What I said was that the end people did not receive the snowball. So now what we do, we collecting all. Yes? Can you hear me? Hello? Are you on the live stream or on Skype?
I think the Skype call is having trouble with the bandwidth from your end. It seems to be cutting out. But try.
Hello?
Okay, well, it's clear now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it sounds good now. Let's continue.
Hello? Can you hear us? Hello?
Yes, Rick, I got you. I can hear you. Let's just wait for the connection to stabilize. Yeah, it's. I think he was just having some dropping out there.
Right.
So I don't think he could hear us after we could hear him. Right. So I think it was just somebody was calling. It looks like the one of the groups. So I'm not sure who that was.
Last minute was not heard.
Oops.
Yes.
Let me see if I
We're just waiting for Mr. Ketch to come back online. So just please wait. Just hold on.
And what happened to Emrock? Seems to.
Maybe you can try to remove and add SSI again.
I think it's the yeah, I think it's the connection. Which is normal. Yeah, they're probably just getting the connection back. Marco, do they have a backup, or did everybody leave that had the backup?
Yeah, there is backup. There are two
That's what I
connections
thought.
over there.
Yeah.
But well, one is the connection that is used from the lab, and the other is backup connection.
Right. So before we bring him back, can we remember on what was last said from Mr. Kesh before he broke up?
Oh, he explained about snowball.
Yeah, just after the snowball. Yeah. I could make a big snowball right now too.
Live stream from SSI with reactors works well now. Earlier I couldn't load the page.
Yeah, I was off for a little bit.
So there is connection to the SSI.
Yeah, Marco said that's on a backup, so it's on a completely different system.
Well, actually,
Rick had
that was
Mr. Cash
the backup system now.
instead of the SSI.
Meanwhile, that live show from SSI also has a microphone and a camera. So it can be used also for talking. If Skype would fail for any reason.
Cap, again, just hold on while we work through the issues. I'm sure that everybody understands of the importance of everything, and we might have issues today. I'm sure everybody understands.
Is Emmanuel from North Carolina present?
No.
So does he have an anchor? Because I see volunteers for the backup for anchors here. Eric Hausen, for instance.
Yeah, we have that backed up. The backup.
So you can organize such an anchor or backup for every person from the group when is needed.
Yeah.
As it happened yesterday for one of our colleagues from New York who was not available.
Okay, sorry, they blocked the. They jammed the other channel, so we had to move.
That's okay, Mr. Kesh. We can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So we lost you at the end of the snowballs. Right
Yeah.
at the end of that, we heard.
Okay, what we're gonna do, just admit I have to go to options to bring, what do you call it, the headphone in. Uh, Where do I go? Audio.
Sounds like it's on the headphones right now.
Or is it online? Okay, no problem. It is online, yeah. Okay, no problem. So we go back to where we left it. This is usual here. Some people don't like. Is it okay now? It's a different headset. We are in different location. Okay, better. So what has happened is the same position as I explained with the snowball. What the prophet of the past held on to and did not reach the mankind, now we give back to the mankind to collect and everyone to receive the same size of a snowball or the full information. That through it they understand the message from the beginning was the conditions and the ways to achieve and live a peaceful life. If you look at the history of the Judaism, it started with war. What Moses did, he used the power given to him to kill as many as he could, even within his own tribe. And now we see the status which is named under his name. The same mentality. Because it's not fault of the people of this time, it's just they received the wrong message and they kept to the wrong message. The same we see with Islam. Muhammad received the full message, blessed his name. But the people around him, they changed according to what it suit them and misinterpret the teaching. And now we see the murders which going under his name. None of these was for act of war. This was done to unite, but in fact, what was taken out like the drops of the snowball has left the people to imagine how big the original size of the snowball was. So they added to it because they received a little one. And now we take this away. We give equal to every soul on this planet the same as the prophet of the past. That they understand exactly what the job is and exactly where they stand. That's why we brought the new teaching of the new elements. You call it GANs, gases in nano state. But in fact, every single drop, every single entity is one star, is one plasma. And in it is equal to energy of a star. When you have the energy of a star in your hand, what would you like it to be transferred to? Water, food, flower, a child. Some people have desire for gold, because now the knowledge we have given man gives the man the power to decide how and where and the way he wants the matter to appear to him. A lot of you and a lot of scientists around the world got busy with the GANs and this new nanomaterial which we have released. The intention was to keep you busy till we release you the totality and why and where. Understand what these reactors in front of you mean. The energy of the sun in the slowing down, like the snowball, in passing of the time, and in interaction with the other materials and fields in the shell of this plasma of the solar system, has reduced to different strengths that you people call it different materials at different strength. One strength is hydrogen, one strength is uranium, but in fact it's different amount of the same thing in the same container. Now, exactly the process which your body does to convert the matter into energy, we have shown you how to use these matters like copper to create back the matter to energy, and in interacting with each other you create a plasma which has no dimension in the center. In fact, what you have created in the center, what you call free plasma, is the center of the sun. So now, what would you like it to be? A fish. To taste like a fish. To have the texture of the fish, but not the life of the fish, that man shall not kill. You want gold? It depends how you extract it from it and what level. And how much of it you want. All you have developed with these cores is the physicality without dimension, which is the essence of the soul of the man and the creator. And you are so busy with it because you're so entangled in physicality that you don't even see it. Now, we give man, every man. You have used ping pong balls, you have used little light bulbs, you have used copper balls, and all you've done, you're rotating them like the sun. And what you have created is an entity without dimension, but understanding of the need of the others around it. You have created the soul of the creator, but you're too blind to see. Not every one of you will understand what I'm talking about till you reach the point of maturity. Because you are, as humans, have a defect of what we call nitrogen. Because that's your fingerprint. This is the essence where the energy of the sun, when reaches gravitational magnetic field of the earth, can convert itself to a balanced condition, which is nitrogen. That's why it rains upon you every day and night. Because if it doesn't, it will clog the whole thing up on the top and you will not receive the energy of the sun. The purpose of rain is not water. The purpose of rain is to clean up continuously the nitrogen conversion on the top layer from the interaction of the magnetic gravitational field of the earth and the sun. That's why rain is life-giving, because rain brings down the nitrogen, which initiates the release of hydrogen energy. Man has not understood this yet. So in your reactors, we have taken the element of the dimension and position. And what you gather, in essence, is the energy of the universe. Now you create the interface between that and what you want. The free plasma is the sun, is the soul of the creator. When you can gather enough of it, that becomes strong enough, like 129 Tesla, then you see how much gold you want out of it, at what position and where. As I said to the knowledge seekers in the past 2-3 days when we were getting ready, was, what do you desire has to be. And they all looked at the physical desire. Because in your body, in your center of your brain, you have the same construction as the center plasma, as a free plasma. So, because it's made of the same carbon, oxygen and hydrogen, it interacts with it. And what does it do? It transfers your desire directly and instantaneously to where you have sent it to or where you want it to go. When you give your soul to the world president, or next week's to the soul of the world religious leaders of the past or present, do not look at their physical face. Dial their soul. You will get an immediate response. Physicality is imagination of the man. And this imagination runs wild. I come from Middle East. I know in Palestine, in Middle East, we are all mainly brown eyes, black eyes, dark hair. The imagination has run so wild that the Christ, bless his name, has become blonde and blue eyes. This is the imagination of the soldiers at the end of the line. How the biggest snowball was. Because if it befits, when you imagine, you can imagine anything you like. And that's how the present religious world has gone wrong. If you have misplaced the image, God knows what you've done with the message. That's why we terminated the work of all the messengers of the past. Because it's changed so much by the officers down the line to fit themselves that the reality has disappeared. So now we give you the man the right and the way to reach the reality directly through the soul. And that's why I said in the past few weeks, we'll bring the soul of the Christ on the table. And now you know how to dial it. Do not look for physical look because you're looking for a blue eye and a blonde hair. This is not the reality of what they came, not for the image, but for the message. And now you can dial the message because you have the center free core and it's a copy of yours, as was blessed is Jesus. You will not see the face because to you, you will not recognize the face. It has to be blonde and blue. But you feel the touch, you will receive the knowledge. We have finished with the kingships and religious leadership. Because, as I explained yesterday, to be a king, you mean you have to be better. And that creates division. And that division creates war. Because you have to protect it. All men are equal, the same as all the creatures in the universe. In the universe there are no generals, there are no kings, because we all have access to everything and we know exactly what is right and what is wrong. It's man who has to understand. A lot of you, when you love a woman or a man, you look for the physicality of the man or a woman. But in the universe, we fall in love with the soul of the person, entity. And physicality is irrelevant. With a man or a woman on this planet, when we love them more, they see it as a weakness. So they abuse it. But in the universe, we see it as being given the strength that I can go further. So what do? We insult the one we love, and we see it now we can play the top game. And I see this every time I come across a woman. And They see it as their right to be rude and to think they are dominant. But they don't see it as they receive the
Mr.
gift.
Cash?
Yes?
Sorry, the humming is getting worse in the background. Is there
Is
a
it
way that
better
I
now?
fix that?
Is it better now? There is no
Way
humming.
better. Thank you very much.
Okay. So now we see it, the women see it as a weakness, but they don't understand we've given them gift of life. Man is the emotion and woman is the physicality, because it's the one who gives life. But don't forget, the free ball, the free plasma does not exist if the reactors were not there to give it life, part of theirs. This is what we have to stop, and this is what's going to stop from today. From today, we give every being on this planet to live mature, equal knowledge, and in so many ways, the totality of the knowledge as the prophet of the past. Because if we put difference between the prophets and the man, then we have created another division, and this cannot be. Then there will be people who want to be in between, and we create more priests, and the message gets mixed up, like the way it's done by the generals. When you have the totality, you decide where it suits you best, where you want to sit. Because you know wherever you sit, you have everything you want. Because that's where you're comfortable. Not everyone wants to be gold, and not everyone wants to be silver, and no everyone wants to be hydrogen. One sees, if I'm so much hydrogen, then I can allow so many of us together to become gold. But the power of hydrogen and understanding of it and the energy of it is exactly the same as gold. This is the man which looks into physicality. In the universe there is no physicality. The change which we have brought you is very simple. We have shown you the true essence of existence in the world of creation. The problem of the man from now on is not understanding the new, but how to get rid of the old past, that he doesn't look like a fool. We enter negotiation with different governments for military and defense, but they don't yet understand our defense is to make sure that no one makes mistake, and not for the tools of war. The new defense technology which we enter negotiation with number of governments, without them knowing, is to elevate the soul of the men who they consider enemy, even though it may means that to increase the soul of themselves to understand what they call the enemy. I have to make enemy to exist, where if I have friend, I exist more. This is what I explained to our knowledge seekers, and they understood. We are not going to sleep with armies of the world. We are going to work that we bring knowledge to the armies of the world, that there are no enemies. You have to understand the other side through their soul. Because when you have an enemy, is you have a problem for yourself, not them. I get angry a lot with the behavior of the man who doesn't understand what they are doing, but they're so good in covering it up that it's your problem. So you have to fight for your position, which you don't even have anything to do with it. But they have made you look to be guilty, so now you have to defend yourself. And this is a pattern that most of the women take in their relationship with men. They have to be victim to exist. And most of the men fight because they carry the emotion to prove that they are not what they have been accused of. It's the same with the armies, with the nations, and with religions. The mayhem we see in the Middle East today is the work of hundreds of years of abuse. And then now we appoint it to one nation, one religion. Why should one nation in 45 days create $13 billion of damage to a little island that now they need to buy from us and we become rich and we control? Where they were invited as guests, now they became the rulers. We end up with the rule of the state. Because both sides started their lives with killing. So they know nothing but killing, where they are each other's blood, but they chose different path of belief. As there is no difference between Indians and Pakistanis of the same blood, they chose different way of worship. The blood running in the veins of the Israelis and Palestinians is the same. So when you pray for Mr. Netanyahu, as one of you has chosen him, you should pray more for His Excellency President Rouhani, because he's on the other side and they're of the same blood. In a way, two brothers have forgotten they came from the same father. Now you understand why we allowed you to choose a president, and we allowed you to choose a prophet, to show you're all the same. You came from the same and we should end up with the same. What's the reason for fighting in between? One of the reasons we are in exile in Europe is because the Iranian securities thinks if I stay in Iran, I'll be killed by the Israelis. So I'm safe to be out. And now we get abused by the Belgians. In fact, a lot of you don't know, and I discussed this with American securities because they know how I know, the Iraq-Iranian war was not and could not be won and bestowed by Iran if there wasn't direct support from Israel with Iran. This might be a shock to a lot of you, but we have all the papers to prove. The Jewish Iranians are Iranians, and they will not let Iran down. This is why we see Netanyahu fighting so much to make sure Iran doesn't get there. Exactly what Hitler did. He didn't want to be known as a Jew, so he killed as many Jews. We eat together, we live together. As the Jewish community, Iran is part of the structure of Iran. And Iranian Jews would not let Iran down. The same as Iran with Palestinians. So brothers holding hand, but on the top showing different face. Now with this process we take the mask off. Maybe now you understand how feeble man is. We have invited both Americans and the Iranians on a piece of military development. And we are waiting for the news from Washington. We develop new military applications, defense technology, in a way for both sides together to understand there is no need for tool of war, but we use these tools for our defense in space. Those who talk to Washington know what the message is and they received it clearly. Now, would you like to talk peace on a military basis for defense? For developing a technology that man goes to the origin and no one abuses no one? Or is more important to make a few fighter planes which now we can paralyze in no time? We give a time of transition, 12 months. And after that, we stop all the tools of war. We've shown it with the capture of the American spy plane. We've shown it with the American capture and not destruction, immobilizing the most advanced ship in the last few months by the Russians. And there is a bigger plan. We have warned both sides. Do not take that step because mankind cannot take the anarchy. And we are prepared to work with both sides to reach an understanding. We change the soul that no one needs to fight and no one needs to die. Now you understand why on my position I've taken the soul of President Obama. His Excellency has to understand there is no choice but the path of peace. Because when I give you, Your Excellency, you have no control. You'll submit to your soul, and your soul knows one thing: there shall not be no more murders and no wars. We talk peace on a matter of elevating the totality, the soul of the man and beings on this planet, that the war and killing becomes history of the past and they do not even remember. We show you the technology and we show you the path. And as Elia always says, she's learned from me, our wish is our command. And we have stated our wish. So, please, today, from now, as you have tried the past days, as I mentioned to you, write the name of every president on this planet you know. And give from your soul to them, because the more you give, the more you receive to give. And in time, we shall see. And next week, you'll have your surprise. You will reach the soul of every prophet you ever wanted and wished for. Because we have raised the soul of the man's status equal to the prophet of the past. So, you always see your equal. As now you receive the full knowledge of peace and the full knowledge of universe. It's for you to decide which knowledge you want to receive and which language you understand better. But the message is all the same. God bless you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. I don't have an immediate question at my end right now. There might be something come up in the live stream. What do you have there, Vince, on the GoToMeeting? Is there anybody that would like to begin with a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kesh. We do have a question on the GoToMeeting from Yvonne. Yvonne, would you like to speak, please?
Hi everybody, hi Mr. Kesh. I have a question, but in order to ask, can I turn my camera on so I can draw the situation and ask the question? Hello?
Yes, carry on.
Insk, or is that gonna work?
No, I can do. Yep, I can do. Just
Great,
need to wait.
thank you.
You should be able to. You should be able to do that now, Ivan.
I have to go on the live stream.
Yes.
No. Yes, Mr. Kess, you can go on the live stream or you can go on the Skype because I'll share it through Skype. So just a moment,
now,
please.
I'm on other computer. I can go on
Wait.
live stream there.
Okay.
Just a moment,
That's
please,
it.
Ivan.
So when we say that we have a plasma, actually when the two magnetic fields meet, they go in circle to each other, like this,
I don't
correct?
see the picture. I don't
Ivan,
see
you
the
have
picture
to wait,
there.
please.
Wait, this pen, okay.
Wait.
So, when two magnetic fields meet with
Yvonne.
the similar straight, it's not visible.
Yes, just please wait.
Wait, it's not visible, okay.
Just wait,
Oh, it
please
was
wait a
my-
sec. Just 1 sec.
Can you see it now?
No,
Maybe.
I still see all the
Rick?
reactors.
Can you see that through Skype, Rick?
Ah, okay, I put okay. Maybe now?
It's not coming through yet. It's not even coming through yet.
I don't know, you cannot see my desk?
Just Ivan, it's not on your side. So just 1 sec, okay? It's not on your side.
Oh, okay. Fine.
It's doing the checking subscription. Yes, I think so. It's the new Skype D feature.
While we are at it, while we are
Okay.
waiting. Okay, go.
Yeah, I'm waiting too.
It does the same thing for me. Oh, it's going to come through now. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go.
So now you can
But
see?
now I'll try. Just a sec. Just a sec.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So people can hear me on live stream. It should we should have the picture back here in a second. I'm just trying to get zeroed in with the Skype, which is always a bit of like trying to grab a slippery eel.
How slippery is
Pray
this?
for your mouse clicking and window positioning, Rick.
Oh, we see it on the.
Me too.
I see it on the Skype, not on live stream.
You're
I
seeing
see a black. Oh, it's gone.
it's still just rotating for me, Vince.
Oh, it's still just rotating.
He's there. He's on the Skype, but not on the live stream.
Yeah, I'm
No,
trying.
because
I'm
it's
trying.
still rotating, Rick.
Right, it's
Yeah, just
still rotating. Let me see if my video is still working. Yeah, my video will go through.
Rick, if you could connect to the GoToMeeting, we can see there Ivan's screen, and you could
Yes, I shared some GoToMeeting.
and you could share that.
Possibly.
It's
How does that sound, Vince?
it's probably a little bit too much right now because then you'd get feedback throughout your entire recording and broadcasting. So that's, I don't think, a good idea.
Okay.
But I could stop my live stream, actually. That's what I'll do. I'll stop my live stream. It's probably that.
Okay. How did you want? You said you were going to fill in here for us, Mr. Kesh. Did you have something you wanted to say while
No,
we
it's
deal
just
with
I saw the picture on Skype, but on live stream. But I don't see it anywhere. At the moment, it's still rotating for me.
Okay, so I turned off my live stream, so we'll see what happens. Is it rotating for you, Rick? Yeah.
It's rotating, and then it kind of stopped like a little glitch, and then started rotating again. So maybe it's thinking about it again here. Seems these computers spend a lot of time thinking.
Let's go with instant communication, right?
I think we need computers that feel instead of think, and it would all go a lot better. Still just getting a rotating wheel there.
I see. Do you see the piece of paper, Mr. Kesh?
I saw it disappeared. I'm on the Skype and the live stream. Both is stuck there.
All right.
Shall we use the crystal ball?
Well, it's very close to what
faster.
It's very close to what we can see on the live stream when I put it on the one of our live feeds here. There's four altogether, 4 little glass ball reactors rotating inside of another spherical.
I don't see that. I only see Vince's picture.
Right, you don't have the live stream, so I'm just showing
live stream is the same. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Whose is this reactor?
That's
Victor.
That's Jean-Francois, I believe.
Do you see that empty space in between through the glass, the bubble?
It's yeah. There seems to be a
bubble.
A bubble. Yes, I've seen that. Can maybe JF can talk about that a bit? Holy cow!
Sorry, just find the mute button.
It's very hard.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We heard some scream. Yeah.
Do you have this bubble in all 4 of them?
Actually, I think the top one have a big bubble. The 2 other and I see just a little, but the one in the front is the biggest bubble, but the 2 other on the bottom, they have a more little bubble now. So at the beginning, yes, I see a little. I think it's a. Just let me a second. I will try with my eyes to see. Oh yeah, I see a little bubble.
In all 4 of them.
Sorry.
In all 4 of them.
Yeah, I think the top one is. It's like hollow in the center, so maybe there's a
it looks like a tube
bubble. Yeah.
Is it rotating faster on the top? Do you know?
Yes, the one on the top I have put it a bit faster. Yeah.
Okay, so you're right at the level on those on the bottom three. I would say that's around the 790 RPM ish, because at 830 or 800, I can usually get the tube in with the reactors that I have. So
Okay.
the top one's just a little bit higher, and it looks like it has a full tube in the center, just like what gets created in mine.
Yeah, yeah. But I think my balls spin a little faster than 800 because they are really smallest than yours. So maybe they need a faster speed to achieve that. But I don't know. I don't have the
Yeah,
tool
that's
to
possible.
measure the rotation. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look in the center of the green belt, is it hollow?
Yes.
This hollow is the soul
You
of
mean
your
hollow
system.
by it's
Empty.
not a vacuum hollow, but yeah, it's just the water. I have to
Yeah.
say.
To you, it's
Not
water.
not in
This
the
is in the center. You should. The material doesn't come together in the core when
no.
you. So this we'll talk about later on. This is important. This is important because
Okay.
the energy which you collect in the free plasma comes from this center, not from the materials outside. It's this center which
Oh.
decides how much energy is released to the free plasma, not from the materials which you have as such. Because it's the center which collects all the fields and decides how much it needs to keep the balance with the other reactors, and the residue is released. You don't collect the fields as such from the material which is on the belt. The belt creates the magnetical. The actual field released to the center core, a free core, comes from this center. Because it's the principal who decides how much I have got extra to give, and not for the student on the edge. This is one of the misconceptions I've been trying to correct, and I've seen nobody has understood yet. You look for the plasma of the green belt to be added to free plasma, but that all it does is decides the distance and what the boundary of the plasma is going to be. The actual amount of the field received comes from this center point to keep the balance. Otherwise it pushes the plasma out of the boundary, and the free plasma will move all over the place. So this is very important for you to understand. A lot of people, I keep on saying, they complain to me, you keep on telling us you don't understand. This is not to be an insult. This is the way I phrase the word, that it needs more understanding. So those who've been insulted, it's in a way partially my problem and partially yours, because it means you have to understand, or you haven't reached the maturity to understand, and you see it as an insult. But that's different point of view. But if it has been offended some people, I do apologize. It has not been intentional. It's just, it means you haven't reached the level to see the light. But this is another point of it. The material bound, the green, dictates the boundary of your free plasma. The actual energy given, the field given, comes from the center. Because if center increases its power, it pushes the free plasma out of the frame. So in a way, the pressure and the field strength of the green material creates the boundary, and it says this is where I can sit to be accommodating the other three reactors. So whatever is surplus is coming, getting released from these small plasmas, is released by the center where you see it as a hollow. And it gets immediately absorbed by the free plasma, because it already has a connection with the fields of the green plasma. It's very much the behavior of a carbon. It's in touch, but it allows how much to be released and what line of communication is going to be to where to go. It's a beautiful system you developed. It shows the totality.
Thank you.
Can we see the picture, please? Elia, I'll send you a message, read. I'm waiting for this drawing.
No, that's okay. That I gotta. That helped. Seemed like that helped. The red went away. See if it. No, I think it's just the people that were in the call that mattered. Can you see now? Because it looked like everything's good now. Still rotating.
It's rotating.
Sorry, Yvonne, for the hold up here, and sorry, Mr. Kesh, for the time to get this organized.
By the way, how much is the maximum number of attendees to the GoToMeeting system?
26.
Okay, so that's full. So no one else can join there to eventually share the picture.
Still not coming through. I'm wondering if there's some other way we could do this. Can he send it to Skype directly or to...
Yvonne, so what I'm going to ask is probably for you to just draw it out and then turn your camera back on, and I'll take a picture and I can send it to Rick. So can you please draw out what you need to draw out, and I'll send that to Rick to get the question asked.
That'll do in the pinch. And in the meantime, we have another question that Amrock has put in the chat here, which is, Mr. Kesh, when you speak of principal matter and principal field, is it the same? Or is it like magnetic and magnetical?
It's gravitational and magnetical, but of the highest order strength.
But is the principal matter and principal field the same thing or same term?
Okay. You are a principal field strength or plasmatic magnetic field strength, or you are transition plasmatic magnetic field strength, or you are matter plasmatic magnetic field strength. Everything in the universe is principal plasmatic magnetic field strength till it interacts with the matching principal magnetic field strength, which then it can manifest itself and becomes matter at that state. So our amino acid allows the manifestation of matter for us to see, to hear, to touch, what becomes as the strength of the amino acid according to the environment we live in. So if your amino acid magrav is in the strength of the inner part of the principal matter, principal magnetic field strength, at that point the field appears to you as a matter, a tangible, detectable. And if the amino acid, or what we call the point of interaction and vision or detection, is somewhere between man's matter condition and the principal matter, then in that point the matter appears tangible, detectable to whatever has that strength. Let me explain to you if it's hard to understand. The principal matter, the principal strength field is the sun. The sun continuously radiates its fields in both plasmatic magnetic fields. And these fields radiate outwards continuously. But when these fields interact with the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, which is a composite, then the interaction manifests itself as a plasma which is equal to the strength of the nitrogen. So, in that process of interaction, some fields are released, which are still small packages of nitrogen, what do you call it, energy. But because of the field strength of the center of the Earth, they get pulled to the center, and these plasmas, what we call light. But in fact, on the upper layer, the plasmatic magnetic field of the principal matter, which was the sun, in the transition time between the sun and the Earth, at this point in the energy level of Earth gravitational magnetic field, manifest themselves as nitrogen. So, if you go further out into the boundary, because of the weaker strength of the fields by the time they get to Saturn, because they have interacted with other fields on the way, they have their strength in conjunction with the strength of the Jupiter, or Saturn let's say, to create a field balance of what we call helium or hydrogen. So, from the point of our observation of the man, the material is nitrogen and becomes solid here, but is helium at Saturn point of observation. But it's all the same ray from the same center. This is and how shall be the creation of God, and there is no difference. It depends where, at what strength, your field is made for you to be able to observe. In fact, if we go to the lower levels, which we don't observe, beyond the matter level of which observable to us as human being, there are billions of stars. Billions and billions of stars. More than in a human level. Because as further you go, the more matter you create. But is not visible to us because we sit above it from our field strength. And the same shall be for the ones which sit at higher, as in the strength. So this is how it is and how the plasma works. You have principle, which is a center. It takes time to reach the point of the observer, and the only way you can observe is when it's at your strength. So at that point it becomes entity, tangible or livable. And one of the processes that you learn through development of these three plasmas, you can reach the full spectrum of from the principle to the lowest level. So in the future you develop technologies where you want to be, to know if what creatures, what entity exists in the environment which you are, because you can through systems create a matching environment, then you are, to you becomes visible who you are in the presence of. My amino acid is not the same as yours, and never shall be. Even though we take the shape of a man. Because this is what you understand, otherwise it becomes magic. If your body had the composition of my body, you will die in this environment. But we adapt, for us to be able to carry the information and the knowledge. Because man is physical and he wants to see something, otherwise the light is magic. Some people understand what I'm talking about. And we don't come from a star S. Next question.
Okay, here we go. So on the drawing, actually the same
Yeah.
thing that you were explaining.
Just a second, Ivan.
Where the
Ivan, just a second. Mr. Kesh probably can't see the drawing right now. He's not on the live stream, or can you see it there, Mr. Kesh?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay,
This
great.
is the drawing which we have put in book number 2, I think Dirk knows. If you go on the book, you see.
okay, I'm not sure, but actually what I want to see is the same thing that you just explained. That the principal matter, which is the strongest field, stay in the center, and the other, they're wind around them, like the straight. You explained this in the Italian knowledge seeker workshop, that the radius of the field is dictated by the gravitational magnetic field. So where is the X is actually the matter level, but it will depend where we can detect the matter field. So actually what we call transition is the distance in the state of the field between the matter and the principal matter, yes?
Yes, correct.
Yes. So
now you have
in
the tool
picture,
to see all of the X's.
no, I just put the axis to indicate that they can be in different places, the matter observer.
A picture just been put out by Rick. This is figure 14 from the book. It's a very easy explanation.
Okay. So can we put the second one? It's on my camera.
How many of you
So
are?
it was very strange
How
because
many of
I
you
was
are giving
understanding
your
the
soul
things
to the
wrong.
world leaders while we are here?
It's something that I wanted to explain.
Continuously.
I said, how many of you are busy? How many of you are busy now giving your soul to the world leaders, that we might see a change soon?
Continuously.
It's a very hard job.
Tomorrow.
Do not change focus, because we need to. We do. Yeah, I think it's gone. What's the second drawing? So you see, if you let me go back to the color picture you have on the screen of the book number 14.
Okay, it will do the job, yes. Okay. The thing is that I put some indicators on my picture so I can explain what I ask. Oh, okay, cool. So now, if we have that the straight of the field in the center is X, and then we go like you see I, Z, F, and G, I just put the numbers randomly in straight, this means that in each field we have magnetic fields with certain state that they go in certain radius around the center. So actually, if we want to see this field to become matter, we just have to slow down the field with a certain state, and then the matter will come as a state of the field there, yes?
Yes, but what I call you, you need to have a filter. Just because you can reach that level doesn't mean you can see it.
Yes, yes,
You
but I just
need
want to see.
you need the eye into it, and this will teach in the future. Because if we open, it'll become such a mishmash. It becomes like a, you know, when you used to unplug the old television, used to be flashes everywhere, black and white, and go. Psh, it'll be like that. You're
Mhm.
allowed only to see. Let me explain to you for you to understand. Just now, because you have the tools, does not mean you're allowed to see everything. You only can see what your soul is keyed and tuned for. Because you shall not understand what it means. There has been a question which I answer you, you understand maybe into it. A lot of people, they call me a prophet. We are not prophets. Prophet is for man.
So Mr. Kesh, actually,
And it,
can you
no,
mention?
let me explain. Let me explain. When you see through X for G to F, you have no understanding of what you see. It doesn't matter to what you tune. Does not become matter to you. Because each matter has rules. Each level of strength has its own rules. What to me is a tool of peace, if I give it to you as man, becomes a very powerful tool of destruction and killing. So, just because you can go from one plasmatic magnetic field strength to another one, does not mean you shall see the lot, or see any of it. Because you don't see it through the eye of physicality, you feel it through the eyes of the soul. Until you don't understand that, you'll have a huge problem. You are still a man, you're looking for physicality, would I see at that level? If you go to the soul, or what we call the free plasma, as I said, you shall not see the Christ or Muhammad, blessed their names, next week. You feel their presence. And when you feel a presence equal to you, you will be elevated to the same. So you receive from what you believe. This is what you have not most probably understood from this morning. Just because you have the tools to go to a higher strength, the way we went to 129 Tesla, you have to have the level of the understanding of the soul that it can understand to feel it. In the universe, there is no physicality observation. Is the understanding of the presence through emotion. That's why only emotion and soul exist and no physicality. You become physical when you want to show your presence to the people amongst yourself. To the others, you're always invisible. That's why we choose the body of the man, because that's how they see it. To them is understandable. If I become here and just like a thing moving chairs and tables, I become a ghost. Then it doesn't have a meaning. This is how it's done. Going amongst the people, to live amongst them, to be part of them, that they accept you as part of them. This is what I wrote to Elia a couple of days ago. In living and loving and sharing together, people understand there is no difference amongst the races of the universe. It is very hard from the lower to go to the higher. But it's very easy for a higher to come to the lower, because then it's easy to go back. This is as I explained in other workshops. All the messengers see the God as a light or a fire, they explain. Because the strength of their soul reaches at a point, the same as the sun and the earth, that can create a interaction. If you're not in a field strength near enough as part of the spectrum, you do not create it. So they see and they explain God as the fire because they can't say anything else. And the information is like the nitrogen, which gets converted. And they only receive part that they can and is applicable to their people at that time. And now when you elevate the soul of the mankind, you bring all to have the same kind of interactions. And different people of different intelligence take according the light the way they see it. Some they receive because they are in shadow as a night light, and some see that the light of the peak of the day at lunch. It depends on, I always say, on your intelligence. And some people who are in the dark, they claim to be at the top, but they don't see what the top is. They never seen the daylight. How can they understand what daylight is? This is like you bring a guy from South Africa who's never seen the snow and put them in the middle of the North Pole. They jump up and down because they never seen the snow, but they heard a lot about it. They thought that's how it should be, how it feels, but when they touch it, it's totally different. I've seen this and it's been a surprise to me. I lived with a white South African in university time, and it was a surprise to me when he was explaining to me the snow. So just because you see a channel to go from one to another does not mean, and if we enlighten you, does not mean you understand the totality we speak. We stand as the messengers of universe, and we are only a few left. And it's the job to bring all races equal to each other, because otherwise then outside, now that we open the universe to you, you'll be abused. Because then there'll be difference in races and levels. But when we educate you to the equal as the others, you enter the universal community as equal partners. This is what I say to Elia when she doesn't understand. She sees it as a challenge, exactly the behavior of a man. When I can change her, the rest of humanity will understand too. This is what you got to understand. Just because you can go from one level to another, or be in touch with another level, does not make you to understand the totality of what's going on that level, because it's like very much, you go from, let's say, Italy to China. Just because you're in China doesn't mean you understand the customs and the rules of Chinese. And it's all beautiful. So what you do, you find the Italians in China that you confirm your own existence. And in the universe, this doesn't exist. Otherwise, if you go to China, live and eat and understand the culture of the Chinese, then you become a Chinese. It's the same with the tribe of man in space. But unfortunately, at this moment, we've got a bunch of animals we call human beings. And we have to change. It's not to don't talk to humanity, but humans have brought themselves to that level that they have to understand, they have to bring themselves up to the level of the prophet of the past. Because they knew the truth and they did not pass the information fully on. Out of tens of commandments, you only received 12. What happened to the rest? It went through the hand of generals, what we call the prophets. Because it could elevate them to the point of worshipped. And then they misuse when they were worshipped. So, when you look in going into a plasma, look at its totality. This is my job to explain to you. Most of you don't understand this, but in coming time when people listen to these recordings and what's transcribed from it, then they understand where the mistakes of the past has been. And you lot don't have much time to elevate. The way you give from your soul, as I said yesterday, you raise the soul of every being which has a soul on this planet. The fish, the dog, the tree. Because they have to be elevated that they know they will not be get eaten again. They have the freedom to live. And in turn, they find a way to live because they will not do the same. It's very hard to understand because you are used to it. You lived in the jungle and you follow the rules of jungle. In the space, in the universe, there is no such a jungle. It's full of animals or creatures and everyone lives amongst each other. We only take what is freely given and we only take what is there for us available. We don't go and eat another field. We have enough to exist till somebody is prepared to free some. And amazing enough, they always give free because they know they get more to charge up the center. What is not needed on the boundary is released, which is the weakest, so I don't need it to me, it's no use. It's like me, I was trying to explain to my son, he has a card for burgers, which is free every month, one burger, and he's moving from where we live and he cannot use it, but says, I want to take it with me. I said, you walk out of this area, this card worth nothing. But if you go and find a child in a school, you know they are not rich, they can't go to McDonald's every day. To them is a treat of once a year. You give the ticket to him. Now you're giving the gift of life and the pleasure of life. And he cannot understand it. He says, but it's mine. I said, yes, you are human, boy. Learn, you have to give. It's the same with the rest of humanity. They have a huge complex in whether I give, I don't have, but I don't need it, but I don't want to give it. But we explained to him yesterday, Carla and I, when you give the pleasure he enjoys, he releases the pleasure that you enjoy something else somewhere else. This is what man is. And the children are the best point because they reconfirm our innocence of greed in reality of physicality. And we are so proud to protect it. Wearing the clothes of a doctor, or a layman, or a digger, or God knows a president. It's the dress which has fooled us, not the soul. Next question.
Can I finish my question?
No, because your question is done. I think I answered you. Carry on. Means you didn't understand what I tried to teach you. It's okay. Ask your question.
I understand, but I wanted to ask different things, not this one.
Okay, go.
I wanted to ask when it's two plasma like this, and we have mass of central strength in the top layer, let's say, but one of the plasma has a little bit more mass in the principal matter, so it's a little bit more stronger. When we have mass of the other side and matching mass to the other plasma, where they go? They go in the stronger mass to get together, or they go in the weakest plasma to get together?
Understand the working of the nano layers. You'll find your answer. In the nano layers, like you do put material in a caustic, the mass equal, make equal gap in the center and distance from each atomic structure. And as you go further up, just because you establish the layer does not mean that you have the same field strength to the center or the copper itself as a molecule. The wire is a center mass, and the layers, even though they carry the same mass, but because of the field difference, position themselves further and further. That's why you can make multi-layer. And this is the same in the layers of universe. If you want to understand the work of the universal system and understand the full structure, the best thing is make a, let's say, copper ball, nano coat it, and then cut a cross section of it. You will see the work of the universe. The weakest sits on the outside. In respect, the weakness is the same, but its gravitational magnetic field positioning is to the center. The center is the creator, and the one on the edge, on the surface you see, is the man, for example. It carries all the attributes of the creator, but due to strength it sits at a different position. So just because you have the same strength at the layer next to the matter point of the ball, you're any different, but your field strength in respect to that point is different because of your position. And if you add mass together, you change the copper to gold, but you do not change the characteristics of the copper which has been embedded in it. Next question. This shows you have not understood the work of the nanomaterials, because we taught the nanomaterials and the GANs to open the eye of the man to reality of the creation. But still again, as man, you look at the matter states and what it does. When you put nanomaterial in salt, you free the atom to be free but have the same beauty. And then you see the color of it. It's the same with the creation. Next question. So we can finish this question. Good. 10 o'clock.
Surely we have some questions from some of the people that might be part of the reactor crews here.
Yeah. I tell you, your reactor groups, the 3 groups with 4 people in each. Concentrate even though you don't see. Trust us and trust your belief. Give your soul to the free plasma and not to the reactors. And load it with a message for the presidents you want. They will receive it instantaneously. I'm sure if some of you will stand and watch these presidents, you'll find them, they fidget. When you fidget, it's the time when you touch the soul of the man. They will be bombarded. It'll be very much like we put the message out and the Chinese flooded the Belgian police and the Interpol, why you want to get Mr. Keshe to kill him. And what they did, they went to Malta and asking them, what's going on with China with Keshe Foundation? Everybody's writing from there. Because the message was received and sent by the people who understood. And now I see, by the way, that a lot of people are sending messages to the Criminal Court of Justice, even from China, asking for what happened to our request. This is how it works. You give the message purely and then it be translated. So when you pray, not I call it praise, when you give from your soul, the 12 of you, look into the center core. Doesn't matter, you're in different part of the world, and you try to reach the core you are connected to. Leave your cameras on. And the others who made systems who are running, connect your souls of your system to the soul of the 3. Then that's how we gain the strength. That's how the message will go on the repeat call. This is how does not and become limited to the 3 core, main cores and the 4th one here in the center. The fourth one at the center will be shut down on Saturday or Sunday. Because as we shown with the reactors in the other positions, and we turn these reactors down before, we end up with physicality. Because the plasmas in these materials are in motion and they don't need the rotation of the physicality. And that's when the process starts. So if you like, go on the SSI, because you'll most probably be switched off by the time you leave. And just take the pictures of it and direct your souls to the ones which are running. We'll receive it and it'll go to the place where he has to go. And meanwhile, if I'm not reachable, you have my equal. Elia is there. I love you dearly, Elia, because you carry the soul of the man. But you have to elevate yourself to the soul to understand, to support others. And you have received enough to be able to do. So you are the support and you have to stand your position. As I wrote to you just now, you are equal. And the people here need you to understand where they go wrong, and you cannot go wrong. We elevate the soul of the man equal to the woman. So I cannot don't talk to you because you're equal. How can I? It's for you to understand your position. It's the same goes with Lucy. It's the same goes with Marco and Armand. You've been trained and you know what to do. You become the anchor point, even though you're asleep or awake, and you had a good training with your modes. Our beautiful Marco came here yesterday and says, can I take my key? He doesn't know the key is himself, but he's still in that physical tangibility of the touch to know he's there. The change has come, and we'll see it very soon, all of us. It took different religions because they went wrong 2,000-3,000 years to reach very few of man. This time we don't go wrong and we reach all the men in one go through these systems. And even now the elevation of the soul of the man has started. Because all of us in past few days have started putting our soul into it, so we start the elevation. And those who are outside, which you are not aware of, have already given their souls to you to be able to support this change. Because when we have you peaceful, we have you as a family. Any other question?
Hi, Mr. Kesh. Good morning. Ludmila is here. I
Good
have a
morning.
quick question. Most likely we won't have a workshop tomorrow for the health. I
We are
was
finished.
wondering,
Only workshops on Thursday till after 15.
yeah, I was wondering if I can gather somewhere more information about these cups of life.
Cups of Life will be produced by Sohail in China and will be distributed through China. If you want, you can make yourself anything you like, but the way it's got to be set, the way we see it, will be done through the way we set it up. And initially will be done that way.
Is it gonna be anytime soon?
We're hoping to be next year, early next year. There's going to be huge changes in coming weeks. First of all, we are moving from the Sensano. That's 100%. Then it depends on what we have started negotiation on. There is going to be a university structure of teaching, and then at that level we teach. You know, I always say, don't think what is good for you is really good for you. It can be harmful to you. This cup of lives, this formation of cup of life has to be the correct way. And it has to be made by the men who understand what peace is. It's no use being built by a man who just got his hand dirty with war or hurting somebody else. It's not just process of physicality, it's the process of what I tell you. When you make a reactor, you put your soul in it. We teach first how to make it, and then we make it. And the teaching is not physicality teaching, it's the teaching of the man who makes it. You don't want to eat from an angry cup, do you?
My idea was if I can speed up the process, let's say,
Or you
for
want to become
example,
young again?
no. Wolf desperately needs them, so I would be happy to make them for him. That's
Every
fine with
one
me.
of
I mean,
us,
I don't mind.
every one of us goes through our physical point because we have to learn something from it. We have offered full help to Wolf. It's for him to accept. The foundation has offered Wolf every means of support which is available to us. And we have a lot. So it is the same. It's the same when I tell Elia, I give you all the love of life. It's for you to accept. And refusal is always on the table. Because this way I exist. This way is how I can survive to confirm my existence. The foundation looks after the people around it who support it in every shape and form. And Elia and I, we have spoken to Wolf, and he knows our position. It's him who has to say yes. When you accept responsibility, it's not just to take the joy, it's to be responsible for everything. This is how I ran my work jobs and my people I employed for years. The children is my responsibility as much as the life and the happiness they have. And I live that way. Peace of mind is the beginning of peace of life. If you ask knowledge seekers, we don't start here in the foundation before 10 o'clock. Why? Because I always explain, when you come here at 9, half of your time goes, I have to go to the bank to pay a bill. I didn't do the shopping this, I'm going to be hungry. What's going to happen with the bread tonight? But when you come at 10, you already had the time. You did all the banking, all this. You are here to serve and to be served. So you start life here with a peace of mind. And that's because they do most of the things they need to do before they come. You find we can't kick them out at 10 o'clock at night because they already made the food for tonight when they go home. They don't need to be in a rush to leave by 8 because of what they're going to cook when they get home. So, in response to you, we look after all the people, even looking after their soul. Their physicality is irrelevant. It's them who have to accept the offer. This is a battle I've been testing for past few weeks with Elia, and I use her because she's very much a devoted soul. In receiving, you have to accept, and accepting it means carrying responsibility to be able to deliver, not here on this planet, but across. And now we do the same. We don't shout world peace when we can't look after our own people. But it's them who got to accept it. It's the same as I said when you give it to the souls. We watch, we keep distance, but at the same time, those who know around us, we look after the people who are around Foundation to the best of ability, but we don't allow abuse. We don't get to know everything, but when we know, we take steps. And we take steps amongst us that does not go in public. Next question. Shall we
Thank
call
you.
it a day?
Well, maybe we should, unless there's any particular questions about the leaders that are shown and the reactor combinations and so on. Perhaps there might be a question about that we could end with. Is there anybody on
I think it's a beautiful job you've done there. We have received response from 3 of these presidents up to now. And we know they are with the foundation and the work of the foundation. It'll be very interesting if you could put the picture of the prophets which are connected to each one. It'll be very, very fantastic. I was looking at it yesterday and it's very, very amazing.
Well, we could
It says
hook
which
that up.
of the leaders is most responsive? All of them. As I said yesterday, they are the loneliest men in the world. I know a few world leaders, past and one present. They tell you themselves when you speak to them, it's the loneliest job in the world. So at that point, they are receptive to everything which can give them a bit of joy and happiness and elevation. They say when they wish to be there and when they get there, during the day they are very powerful, and at night they're on their own and very lonely. As some of you might know, in the past week we have had a direct response from one of the people you see on this table. And it's for better of his nation and not bad. And it's the mentality of the nation. He wants the best for his country according to the ethos of his nation to help. And we have responded positive. We have made offer to another one and we're waiting for a response, and soon you know if we make a decision that way. I stay loyal to my nation, but I serve the humanity. And most of these world leaders are very lonely people. They just need your love through your soul. Emails they don't respond to because it's physical. Their souls respond to your message immediately. Just give your soul and you'll get the response. Thank you very much. I wish I could respond to one of these questions, but I'll keep silent because it can affect political, geopolitical situation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh.
We meet with the team, if you like, after 12 on, what do you call it, tomorrow, or at least once next week. You organize it, that we're all together on the table, because next Thursday, if you want to have a workshop, we have a workshop. It's a Christmas day. Otherwise, we join our souls through reaching the souls of the prophets. We do not need the physicality to be together.
Well, if it's okay with you, we'll have a workshop next Thursday. We could make it shorter if we don't want to intrude into your Christmas or other people as well.
I'm a Jew, a Christian, a Muslim, a Baha'i, a Buddhist. All carry the same.
So for you, every day is a holiday.
Yes. You always celebrate the birthday of your son. You understood? You always celebrate the birthday of your son, and it's to be celebrated. Thank you. And we'll see you sometime, maybe tomorrow or early next week, to be able to tune. Thank you very much.
Solstice sounds pretty good to me. How about you, Mr. Kesh?
Pardon?
I said the solstice sounds pretty good.
The soul.
We'll try to work that out. Solstice.
Solstice,
Solstice.
coming up on the
21st.
21st Sunday coming up.
Oh yes, you know in Iran we celebrate it.
I think
We
that's
said-
what Vince might be hinting at, something
Yeah,
like that.
Yes.
In the Iranian culture, we celebrate Solstice. It's a good celebration, and we set a table for it. So we celebrate together. Maybe I'll show you the Iranian Solstice table, but we are traveling that day to south of Italy. As you know, we are moving home down south to Paris. So we're on the move those 2 days. We'll see. We'll be available. Sunday is good day.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
we'll
Bye-bye.
end the workshop.
Thank you.
Now.
Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Fish.
much.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to everybody on the live stream and the GoToMeeting, and from all the teams around the world who are participating in our World Peace Exercise. Okay, that's the end of the 41st Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you.